all the complicated things about programmatic and AI all have been discussed. I think somebody will need to do the job coming back to basics a little bit, yeah? So just going back to basics to an extent, okay? Oops. So I think first piece, I think in the age of machines, we are talking to people, right? We're not talking even to consumers, we are talking to people because I hate the word consumers, right? Again, to me, it connotes a container into which you're pouring your products. That's not the people that we are talking about. Okay. So I come from up north, and therefore I can't think too complicated. To me, marketing is adding value, first of all, before any marketing campaign that you see, before you touch a consumer, asking before any media money is being spent, it's asking the very basic question. Those are the tough questions which nobody in the business asks, right? As to who's the consumer, what's the value that is being created, and how shall we frame the task of the business. That's the piece that marketing creates the greatest amount of value. But beyond that, I think the two big pieces where marketing, the role of marketing is, I think most times we think in terms of storytelling, but the biggest value that marketing creates is the listening piece, right? And why are we talking about listening from an emotions point of view, right? Because I'll just go back to my previous slide saying that we are talking to human beings. Move ahead. Yeah. Now this is a strange postulation in terms of listening. This is called Cohen's law of market research, right? Cohen's law of market research is a very important law because I think we have our troubles. Our companies ask us to sell products that our factories are producing, generate greater revenue, and with that task we go to consumers. And Cohen's law in situations like this, specific situations like this, states that if you ask people questions, they will give you an answer. I'll repeat that. If you ask people questions, they'll give you an answer, right? What's so complicated about it? Even when people are not lying to you about it, people will give you answers which are rational answers, because they want to appear rational. Like at this conference, we all want to appear logical, very bright, very thought out as how we are running our businesses. That's what Cohen's law does. And therefore, listening is not as easy as putting together 3 questions and walking across to a consumer and saying, or doing in, if I may, the police interrogation style as to why do you buy my product or don't buy my product or don't buy my competitor's product or not, right? Just go ahead. Go ahead. So this gentleman got the Nobel Prize for saying this, but consumers decide emotionally, human beings decide emotionally and justify rationally. And that is what makes the job of listening really, really tough. And that's where emotions come in. Move ahead. Right. So good listening, especially in consumer work on products, is almost like detective work. There's a body lying, somebody's bought the product, somebody is aspiring, spent the money, and we are trying to figure out the motives, we are trying to figure out the occasion, we are trying to figure out who had the passion in terms of going ahead and committing something, right? And you are going back in time and trying to figure out all the circumstances, the context around which this entire thing happened. Okay. So 3 things, listening well. I think first, as a principle, what's crucial from a listening point of view is you take out your category, your product, your brand out of the full thing, and you understand the context of the people that you're talking to. And second piece is you get to the emotions involved in the entire piece. Now, those emotions tell you what the real story is, beyond what people have logically explained and said to you, which might be, according to them, might not be lies, but which is the rationalizing piece that is coming across. And therefore, more than emotions in advertising, I think emotions is far more crucial from a listening point of view. Because if you get this right, the letter that you're going to be posting is going to be posted at a very wrong address, right? Your insights are going to be wrong about it. Go ahead, please. Now coming to the second important part, and the more so-called glamorous part of storytelling. Please go ahead. Now, I think it's a disease that we have, which is factomania. In marketing, I think the more if we are not able to convince people, we try and dump more data. 99% of scientists in the world put together stuff about climate change, yet if you see the data among people, they don't converge onto it. And what's our answer from a marketing point of view is dump even more data, right? Maybe what we provided wasn't good enough, maybe the quantity wasn't good enough. We try and torture, cajole by dumping more data onto people. Go ahead. We had news outlets in the US screaming from the rooftops, imagining that possibly if they had laid down more facts on the table, things would convince and get people knowing the real truths and they would change minds. I think we've discovered it over two election cycles in US, and I think the world is suffering because I think we didn't get this right. Yeah? Move ahead. Right? This is a famous quote anybody who's followed the last election would remember, right? Patently false, but repeated often enough, it became the truth for most people, for a lot of people. And the many fact checkers, the army of fact checkers couldn't balance that across. Go ahead, please. The real issue is, I'm invoking the same gentleman again. He said thinking is to human beings as cats is to swimming. We can do it, but we don't like to do it, right? I think there's a thin audience, but so let me get one-on-one with you. I think we know what eyes do, right? We know what our stomach does, right? Biologically, what does the brain do? Sorry? Somebody said think. In fact, that's the recent, among science, this is the recent postulation that the first task of our brain, and 90% of the capacity that is occupied for the brain, is not to think. Think, in fact, is one of the sideshow activities when the processor is kind of idle. There's nothing else to do, and there is huge amount of intention. 90% of the job of the brain is to keep us alive, right? Survival, because it's an irreversible process, the job of the brain is to keep us alive. And therefore, it does that job really efficiently. But this side job, I think you can give it a few passing grace marks when it doesn't do. And therefore, facts don't cut it. Go ahead. I think because facts are devoid of emotion, that's the fundamental problem. Because I think with facts, we define which is the group that we are joining. Because facts challenge our identity. You check the facts whether they are true or not, basis the identity and the tribe that you belong to. And when they interfere between emotions and facts, when things interfere, you always choose emotions, right? And that's the crucial role. I think the heavens are singing. Yeah, I must have made a really nice deck. Okay. But I think we've got to, I think as important as we all feel at marketing forums and media forums, we have to understand that like the main task of the brain is not to think, consumers or people who we interact and who we depend on our salaries for, they have a world of other problems besides thinking of our brands, and we are so bothered about it because our salaries come from there, right? And more importantly, we are so bothered about our brands because we have to show our allegiance that we are working really hard to justify our salaries, right? That's not the case for consumers. They couldn't care less. They have problems in their life. They have a EMI to pay. They have a tough mother-in-law. They have crying kids, right? They have all kinds of circumstances, and our brands and categories and products don't matter there. Go ahead, please. So I think this is something this gentleman, Howard Gosage, said. He was one of the more unknown masters of advertising and marketing who was there, is that people do what interests them or their life. And sometimes it happens to be an ad when we hit our mark really well, when we understand and listen really carefully. Go ahead, please. And they are trying to achieve a certain progress or solve a few problems in their life. Move ahead, please. And most times that job's to be done, that role has a, yeah, move ahead. There are components, the smallest component of that piece is the functional piece. The jobs to be done typically are stuff which has a huge emotional dimension, it has a huge social dimension, which is why the listening part of this entire piece is really, really crucial. Go ahead, please. And therefore, we don't get the most important, most precious resource that world has, which is attention from our consumers. Because imagine the brain of the consumer is busy doing what? Making them survive, right? They couldn't care less about our products, they couldn't care less about our brands. And therefore, the attention is busy towards stuff that they should be doing. Go ahead. Go ahead, please. Yeah. And therefore, emotions is the one piece, more than any facts, more than any razzmatazz that we do, is most crucial in terms of getting attention from consumers. Because emotion is a signal which the brain understands. It's a signal that the brain gets, because that is the earliest warning of danger, survival, or things being all right, which are all good things from a brain survival point of view. Go ahead. The other piece that I think most programmatic and bottom funnel marketing or performance marketing, as it is called, these nomenclatures are very interesting, because who doesn't want to perform, right? If you name something performance marketing, and that's a great job that digital companies have done, then yeah, if you don't follow that, then maybe you're not worth your salt as a marketer, right? But you've got to understand that 95% of consumers are out of market today. Only 5% of the consumers are the ones who are buying your product today. And therefore, your task is not just tackling the 5% people who are in the market today, but also talking to the potential people who are going to be in the market then, right? What time, that's not defined. And therefore, any amount of programmatic, any amount of, if you may, targeting is not going to do the job, yeah? And research doesn't happen when the people, not consumers, when the people need something to be solved in their life, research doesn't happen at that point of time. That point of time, if you move ahead, that point of time, the biggest search engine, the first search engine that works is the brain. Before the brain, before you type anything as a prompt on ChatGPT or Google, that's the prompt that first works. And for 95% of people, if it is not seeded early enough, then all the targeting, careful targeting that you're going to do is going to be useless. Imagine you are targeting 3 sets of people. If I'm selling Mercedes or a premium car, I'm targeting the people who are in the market to buy the car right now. I'm also going to be targeting the 95% of people who are potential customers. But more importantly, you are also going to be targeting people who will never afford a Mercedes. Because till the time the fame is there, the prestige is there about what product it is, these people are never going to open their wallet for a Mercedes. But till the time Mercedes is not a premium product, an aspirational product, across everybody, socially understood, it doesn't have value. And therefore, selling to buyers, current buyers, is the biggest fallacy, that it's the biggest disservice that you can do to your brand. It is like going to my native state of Punjab and saying the only activity tomorrow that you would do from a farming point of view is harvesting, right? All the other activities in agriculture are going to be non-value adding. Because there is a direct attribution of revenue to this, right? But in the next mango season, you don't plant mango seeds then. You are reaping stuff that has been sowed 20 years ago. And it has to be widely known even among people who are non-customers or non-potential customers, because that's what the brands stand for. So therefore, what do emotions do? They give relevance. They give context. They embed memories so that the 95% people can tap it when the problem occurs to them, right? And more importantly, for even the people who are never going to be potential in the market, your positioning is clear and it builds fame. If in today's world we don't understand the value of fame, I think we'll never will. And sadly, some of our CFOs don't get that. This is how memories, emotions build memories. I'm sure you guys have seen this movie, but I'm just pinpointing some stuff. Go ahead. So leave it there. We can skip this. So nobody tells a surgeon that he should learn about surgery the moment a particular patient and a particular disease comes right in front of us, right? Nobody tells a lawyer that he should study the law code when the case comes, that particular case comes to you. It's only in our profession somebody turns around and tells us that you should target only those sets of people who are in the market right now, right? That's the precise moment by which it's a good laser imagery of war, right? You are going to target that one customer who has just thought about it and walking towards the store, right? It doesn't work that way. Move ahead, move ahead. Move ahead, please.
But the really important ones are over here.
Move ahead.
I don't want to get too technical, but these are called.
So what does emotion do? Emotions get attention. They build long-term memory. And like I said, long-term memory is really crucial, not only talking to people who are in the market today, but also people who are out of market and builds fame alongside. And that creates action. And that creates a pipeline, that creates a harvest, that you can periodically keep doing, and that's possibly the best financial decision that you do with your marketing money. Go ahead, please. All right. So I think oftentimes the other fallacy that we have is that there is only one emotion to be used, right? Nobody tells the movie makers, right? They're also storytellers like us. Nobody tells that I will watch only a positive, all positive, kumbaya, right, hand-holding movie. There shouldn't be any tragedy, there shouldn't be any suspense, there shouldn't be any crisis in a movie, right? That's the piece that say. And most times, even when we believe in emotional storytelling, we leave apart an entire palette of emotions because, yeah, human beings, we are sensing many emotions across the board, right? And suddenly we are supposed to think about the bowler who only has one ball in their arsenal, right? How successful would they be? Doesn't work. Go ahead. This gentleman, he was the technology king, but he said the most powerful person in the world is a storyteller. Because the value that stories create, the association that the stories create, the context that it creates is far more valuable than any chip, any AI tool can create. Because stories are something that's the oldest and the most robust technology that is there. It's been a technology that's lasted us 5,000 years ago. Anybody remember the metaverse, right? Forums like this, we were discussing metaverse very hotly a few years back, right? Storytelling is a technology that's lasted as long as mankind. Yeah, go ahead. But the truth has to be told interestingly. That's the point. Go ahead. So the best stories take us somewhere because we are, as human beings, we willingly, the biggest gap between a seller and a buyer is the trust deficit. With stories, we willingly suspend disbelief. And we are willing to lower the gates. They say that while logic is knocking at the door, emotions slip under the door. And that's very crucial. Go ahead, please. And this is what has happened over the last few years. This is the chart from 2011 to 25, right? This is the IPA database. The number of brand building effects seem to have come down drastically, right? This is the chart that the CFOs should be bothered about because the efficiency of the spend on marketing seems to have gone down. The second piece is emotions in advertising has gone down, and that's a strong correlation of, as strong a correlation as you can get besides physics. Yeah, go ahead, please. Move ahead. Move ahead, please. Next chart. I think System One, who we work with, they've touched close to 150,000 advertising copy, and they clearly say that the brand effects, which is the volume, the sales, the equity growth, is far higher among emotive campaigns. The reason for that goes back to my first slide, is because we are not talking to machines. We are talking to people. We are talking to human beings. And the biggest unlock to human beings is not logic. It's not more features. It's not 4 more, right, logical features. It's emotions. Go ahead. Yeah, move ahead. The other piece that works is that we are very impatient because we are type A people and we can't rest. And therefore, even if we have a platform, even if we've learned well, even if we've done storytelling well, we don't stick around to the same point again. Remember, it has to lodge into somebody's memory. If today my name is Ajay, tomorrow it is Vijay, third day it is Ramesh, your brain won't know who you're talking to. And emotional campaigns over a period of time build tremendous value. Consistency builds tremendous value. Go ahead. Yeah? So it's campaigns which have done the emotional story over 3 years per se have possibly the greatest amount of brand impact. Go ahead. Yeah, play please. Volume.
Phone numbers. We don't
Volume.
know.
Oh, that's all right, okay. The only point that that chart or the video made was the simple piece that our brain is unlike, we like to think of our brain, the mental model as a computer. It's not. Memories are not permanent. Memories fade. Things which are not used are thrown out. And things which are stuck with emotion go into our core memory. Which is why we have to repeat our advertising again and again. Simple stuff, but it has to be repeated again and again. Emotional advertising, consistent, repeated again and again over a period of time, that's the piece that creates value. So listening, emotion does the trick. And beyond that, truly doing storytelling because it gets the attention, it creates long-term memory, and it creates fame far beyond your consumer audience, and that creates value. Thanks, that's my time. Yeah, thank you.